members of the MAG Active Transition Committee. It's about 1:02 in the afternoon. Let's go ahead and get started. As a reminder, please mute your mics when not speaking to eliminate any feedback noise. Because this is a virtual meeting, roll call vote will be taken for each action item on the agenda. Also, an opportunity for the public to comment on the agenda was provided ahead of the meeting. Staff did not receive any comments. And with that, let's go ahead and start with roll call. So Jason, please do roll call.
Thank you. Okay, Grant Anderson.
Here.
Thank you. Bob Bean.
Here.
Kathy Borquez for Jason Bochin.
Here.
Thank you. Stacy. Marielle.
Yes.
Thank you. Nathan Chadwick.
Here.
Thank you. Stephen Chang.
Here.
Thank you. Susan.
Here.
Rick Becker for Jason Crampton.
Here.
Thank you. Stephen Esther.
I'm here.
Tiffany Halperin.
Here.
Thank you. Ann Heron Basic, I see you're on the call.
Here.
Thank you. Jason Harris, Paradise Valley, I see you're here.
Here.
Thank you. Jeff King.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Thank you, sir. Larry Kirch.
Here.
Ashley.
Here.
Thank you. Donna Lewandowski. Jose.
Here.
Thank you. Jessica May.
Here.
Thank you. Christine McMurdy.
Here.
Thank you. Randy Proch. Woodrow Scouten. Woodrow. Ward Stanford. Ward. Molly.
Here.
Grant. Or Garrett, sorry. Garrett Topham. Nathan Williams.
I'm here.
Thank you. Robert Weisner.
Here.
Thank you. Ryan Wozniak. Brian. And Robert Yabes.
Here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jason. Is there anybody we missed on the phone? Okay, I don't hear anybody. Thank you, Jason, again for taking roll call. All right, item number 2 is the approval of minutes. Do we have any questions or comments regarding the August 18th, 2020 Active Transportation Committee meeting minutes? All right, do I have a motion for approval?
This is Christine McMurdy. I'll move to approve.
I'll second. Robert Yabes.
All right, so we have Christine as 1 and then Robert Yabes as 2. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Aye.
We're not doing a roll call, right, Jason?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye. All those nay say against, I guess. Nobody, right? All right. Motion passes. Thank you, Jason, for item number 2. Item number 3 is called the audience. Jason, did we receive any cards today?
No, sir.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number, I guess it would be, I have 3 here on my agenda, but okay. So item number 3, which is one of our first of 2 speakers today. We have Brianna McHenry from SRP, who is going to present on the design requirements for public recreational amenities on the SRP Canal right-of-ways canal multi-use paths. All right, Brianna, it's all yours. Take it away.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm actually really excited to be here. I know it's through Zoom instead of actually in person, but I do look forward to meeting everyone. But I wanted to kind of present to you guys some highlights for today and kind of introduce myself. So I am Brianna McHenry. I actually came into field consulting services in November. I work for Jim Duncan, and I am working with him on canal path projects with the cities. So I, again, look forward to working with everyone and kind of getting out there. So we'll go to the next slide. So this touches on the design guidelines. So the first time any city kind of starts thinking about doing any kind of project, feel free to shoot me an email right away and I can send out our design guidelines that we have for those projects along the canal banks. So early communication is key. And so again, like I said, we place these guidelines together to give ideas or basically those guidelines for those projects. So as soon as you have an idea that you want to do one, again, shoot me an email and my contact information will be at the end of the presentation. So you can go to the next slide. Part of the guidelines here that you'll find within those is Exhibit E. This kind of calls out one of our really important aspects of projects that are done on the canal banks, and that is the 20-foot drivable clearance along those projects. So we have two banks. We have our operational bank that we refer to and our non-operational bank. And a lot of times we will make sure that those path projects are placed on the non-operational banks. And so to kind of give you an idea, our operational banks are where most of our irrigation structures are located. So we will be frequently using that bank on a daily basis just to run water. The non-operational banks, we still do need access for because we still do have maintenance that we will need to do. But we're not on there on a daily basis. But the one thing on this particular exhibit that I do want to make sure that I call out is the vertical clearance of that 20-foot drivable space. So you can kind of see that light post there, just making sure there's no overhang in that 20-foot as well so that our trucks can get up and down as well. So this kind of covers that 20-foot drivable space. If you want to go to the next slide. And again, you guys feel free to ask questions. I know there will be some time at the end, but I just want to touch base on that. This one's the vegetation maintenance. I know some of you guys have met me in emails because of this particular part, which is vegetation maintenance. But just so you can see the picture and image on the left-hand side, you'll see, say, a path where there's existing vegetation already there. And so when a city's looking to do a project, they just have to be made aware that they will be taking on that responsibility of either removing that existing vegetation or maintaining that existing vegetation that's within that right-of-way line on those path projects. So you can see the one on the left-hand side, and then you can see a completed project on the right-hand side. So just to kind of give you guys an idea. And then if you want to go to the next slide, we are now actually adding this exhibit to our license agreements for those path projects. This exhibit helps kind of clearly define those areas of responsibility. So especially this season, there's been a huge weed issue. And so we're kind of calling out that the responsibility goes from above that canal lining that you can see there all the way out to the canal property line. So if there was existing vegetation and the city decided to keep that existing vegetation, that whole bank would be the city's responsibility for maintenance. So we're adding this to the license agreements just for making sure there's clarification on that. And then go to the next slide. This is our SRP Canal Recreation Map. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this before, but this map We recently updated it to add some of those newer projects that are there or out there. We have now about 85 miles of completed path projects along the 131 miles. We also updated our website as well for folks. They can go on to srpnet.com/canals and they can look up our canal map that we have as well that will kind of call out those projects. You want to go to the next slide. This one's kind of a hot topic, especially since I know some of you guys have seen the Eastern Canal was recently done. But this is Canal Bank road work. So John Evans and Ron Dobbins we're going to present on this portion, but again, everything's a little changed now. But just to cover this is that we are doing canal service road work on those operational banks. So a long time ago, we laid asphalt on those banks for dust mitigation and for just our all-weather surface road for our crews and our equipment. And I feel like a lot of folks have kind of gotten confused on the idea that the asphalt, they kind of think it's more along of a paved path instead of actually a service road that we use. So one thing we're looking at from our whole system, as you can see in that picture there, the asphalt is starting to deteriorate pretty bad, and it's becoming more of a safety concern than anything. And so Ron and John were kind of doing some investigation to figure out what could work the best for our all-weather service roads. And you can see on the right-hand side, they came up with where we actually go out and you mill the asphalt or DG, depending on the surface, about a 1/4 inch down. I think Jim can jump in if I'm speaking wrong on this one, but they mix it with a copolymer that is environmentally safe. And if you want to go to the next slide, you can see that copolymer that sprays on white, but it will dry clear, and it only takes a few hours to dry. And actually hardens for that all-weather service road. So if you go to the next slide, you can see the final products of that service road. So this will help for our dust mitigation, should last longer, it's safer overall. But again, I know a lot of times folks get confused thinking that we've torn up a paved path, and that's not the case. We have not torn up a paved trail that's been done by the city. So I will communicate with you guys accordingly once those schedules kind of get placed and we start doing more of that road work as it kind of progresses. So John and Ron will work with me to let me know what that schedule looks like. But again, we are looking to do everywhere where that asphalt's out there so that we can make sure that we have a drivable service road for our crews. And then if you want to go to the next slide. This is another just reminder. So dry up season is around the corner. So we will be doing dry up in November to December timeframe for the canals that are south of the Salt River, and then in January for the canals that are north of the Salt River. And I just want to kind of give you guys a heads up. And again, we'll be in communication with you all when we know those schedules and that time frame and which banks are going to be closed. But just so you're aware, we're showing these images that a lot of times we do full bank closures for safety reasons. You can see the extent of the maintenance and the crews and the equipment that's needed for that. If you go to the next slide. This kind of shows just the extent and the trucks that are out there. So for a safety reason, a lot of times we'll close both banks down, and we will make sure that you guys are all aware, but it really is for the safety of everybody that as this work goes, that we close those banks down. And again, like I said, we'll make sure that we communicate that to you as soon as we have that information. And then if you go to the next slide. This is our community or our contact information. So Ron Dobbin, he covers our West Valley. and basically from 48th Street over and west. And then John Evans is our East Valley, so 48th Street over. And then Jim Duncan and myself. And so that's our contact information if you guys need anything. And then next slide's questions. So if you guys have any questions, feel free. Again, you can email me if you think of something later, or if you guys have anything right now.
Yeah, thank you, Brianna. So this is for discussion and information only. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask now.
This is Susan. I have a couple questions.
Go ahead, Susan.
Sorry, I'm clearing my throat. Thanks for the presentation. That's good to show everything with that overview, especially the photos. And we've gotten great feedback on that new polymer that you guys use. People think we did it, and I'm like, I can't take credit. It was SRP, but people say it has made it easier for walking and biking. So this kind of goes into an email that I just sent you guys yesterday, but I think it would help the other agencies too. When we're not doing a big improvement like a path, but when we need to do signage changes, object markers, or in my case, bike pedestrian counters along our path, what's the process for making sure we're getting approval or review from your group?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. Just because Jim and I were actually just speaking about this, about your email actually in general. So the first thing first would be just to email it over to me, just so that I can take a look at it. And I think based off of the improvements or anything that you're looking to add, then I can kind of work with various departments, especially our land department more than anything with the license agreements, just to see what may be needed, if it needs to actually go through the portal process again, or if potentially it's just say a diagram of some sort that needs to just be added to the license file. So it's kind of, I wish I could give you more of a clear black and white type answer, but I think it's kind of right now, it's if you email it to me, I can take a look at it to see and touch base with those other groups to see if it needs to go any further, or if you guys could just proceed just as is. I think with this particular one, I mean, the biggest thing goes back to that one exhibit that I had showed you with that 20-foot clearance. That's kind of a really big thing, especially for some of the just one or two signs here or there. Just as long as those improvements are staying outside of that 20-foot drivable space is going to be the biggest thing for us. But again, like I said, I can't give you a concrete answer. I wish I could, but it really does go back to just starting with an email to me, and then I can go from there. So okay. I will actually be working on your request.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting a total reply for that, because I was like, well, I just sent it. And I know that in the past when we've needed to send things, there's been a certain amount of turnaround time, and it's a reminder to myself too, because sometimes we forget to reach out. And so if other groups are doing other, like a pedestrian push button poll or things like that, I just don't want people to forget about that and then be in the middle of trying to construct it and find out they were forgetting about a process with you.
Yeah, I mean,
I did.
we definitely want to make sure that we're aware of any of those improvements. So sending me an email before that, then I can work with, like I said, those other groups. The biggest thing would be the land department to ensure that the license agreement will cover any of those newer improvements on that project. And then sometimes if it's more than just say a couple things, then it may actually have to go back through the portal process for review, but it shouldn't take potentially as long, just because again, it's not a full project. It's just a couple of improvements. So I wish it was more.
No worries. Thank you. We appreciate all that your group does. So thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Any other questions from the members? Hey, Brianna, I do have one question because I'm not too familiar with this canal, because I'm on the West Valley, Northwest Valley. Now, you mentioned that you have non-operational and operational banks. Are both accessible to pedestrians, or just the non-operational ones?
Yeah, so they're both open to recreational use. It's just when a project's being done, it tends to kind of create more recreational users. And so from a safety aspect and from an overall operational side, we try and keep most of the recreational users to our non-operational side. So, and it all depends again on the side of the river that the canals are. So if you are on you're focusing the projects on the north canals, north of the Salt River, then you're going to have a different operational bank than you are if you are south of the river. So it's basically just kind of how the overall flows towards, like, it's all gravitational. So it's how the topography is of the area. So again, it's more for safety purposes, but all banks are open for recreational use. And so that tends to be confusing too sometimes. So yeah, thank you for the question.
Okay. Do we have any other questions from the members? Okay, so I guess we don't, but if you guys do come up with something, I'm sure you said, Brianna, you're available through email, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thanks again for the presentation. It was very helpful. And it's great to have communication between your agency and our members' agency. So thank you very much.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right, thank you, Brianna.
Okay, bye.
All right, ready to move on to the next item, which is, let's see, it's the Park Vision 2030. We have RJ Carlin from the Maricopa County Parks and Recreation. So RJ, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. And thank you so much for giving me a little bit of time to talk about the Parks Vision 2030 plan and planning effort today. Can you maybe scroll to the first slide? I think we're on the last one right now. There we go. Okay, so again, we're talking today a little bit about the Park Open Space and Trails System Plan for Maricopa County Parks and Recreation Department. We started this effort, about a year ago, and met with MAG probably 7 or 8 months ago, because we wanted to make sure we were aligning this plan with a number of other plans. And so met with MAG, and Jason suggested that I come and talk to this committee, and I'm very happy to do that and glad to be with you. Can we go to the next slide, please? So just for those of you that don't know, Maricopa County Parks and Recreation Department, we have 12 active parks currently. We're working on a 13th actually. And we have roughly 120,000 acres of parkland, which makes us one of the largest regional park systems in the United States. We also have or manage over 500 miles of trails within the parks, or through partnerships with folks like SRP, cities, etc. So pretty extensive trail system as well. Next slide, please. So for this planning effort, we want to make sure that we're conducting planning that protects and conserves high quality natural desert places, planning that promotes transparency, engagement, and I think most importantly, partnerships, and then planning that connects people and nature. What we've tried to do is work on creating a great park system or a legacy park system for Maricopa County and our residents and visitors. And when we look at that, we want to look at a park system that provides value to communities by celebrating natural and cultural heritage, provides quality benefits and opportunities, provides economic development, and then is guided by a compelling vision that aligns with visions and directions from throughout the region. Next slide, please. And so just a quick story here. This is our 2009 Park System Master Plan. It was actually a Park System Strategic Master Plan. I started with Maricopa County Parks in 2006, and being a former planner and the park professional I am, the first thing I walked in on day one as a new director and asked where the park system plan was, because I wanted to better understand the direction the department was going. somebody pulled out a document from 1964 and handed that to me and said, I think this is the last master plan for our park system that we have on file. I like 1964 because that was the year that I was born, but it's a little bit outdated for a plan. So that was kind of my first order of business, was developing a park system master plan. So we wanted to make sure through that we were assessing the system, any system-wide issues, recommendations, obviously looking at community needs, demographics, growth patterns, but then somewhat atypical to a master plan, we also did really a deep dive into park programs, operations and maintenance, administration, et cetera, just to make sure our system was aligned from, you know, that 50,000 foot view all the way down to on the ground what staff were doing. And then finally, we developed implementation strategies to guide the plan. Next slide. And just pictorially wanted to show you, I think we've had a number of successes with the park system plan that we put into place. Obviously, the Maricopa Trail is completed, that 300+ mile trail that rings the valley and connects all of our regional parks. Now we're continuing to add to that, but the main ring is done. We've added a lot of new facilities within our parks. You see the Willow Campground here. Maintenance has been something we've looked at. So a lot of maintenance facilities. This is a government dock facility that we partnered with several agencies out at Lake Pleasant. Utility upgrades has been a big issue with us, making sure our electric, water, septic are all in good shape. Restroom renovations, you can see the slide or the picture down there. And a lot of people kind of wonder why we talk about that. In a minute, I think you'll understand that better. But we have more than 70 restroom and shower buildings within our park system. So we wanted to make sure that those were all completely refurbished, or if they weren't able to be refurbished, they were replaced. And here you can see an actual restroom being dropped down onto its foundation, came in on 2 semi trucks. So that was interesting. Full park restorations and renovations, Estrella Park. And then I mentioned we're in the process of adding Vulture Mountain Regional Park out by Wickenburg, and we recently added the Hassayampa River Preserve to our system. Next slide. We've also added 4 new nature centers over the last 10 years. We've completely upgraded our trail planning, maintenance, and management system. We've completely redone a lot of features at Lake Pleasant, including a major visitor center called the Discovery Center at Lake Pleasant. Trails, again, we've had electrical upgrades. We put a re-emphasis on conservation. Here you see the Agua Fria Conservation Area restoration on the north side of Lake Pleasant. And then we've completely gone out and replaced all the playgrounds in the parks and put those in to naturescape playgrounds. We don't think it's very fitting to have a city type park playground in a regional park that's really focused on natural open space. So we've converted all of our playgrounds to be much more naturescape opportunities. Next slide, please. So for this plan, much like the last plan, we want to make sure we're providing a blueprint to strategically position the department as a recognized leader in regional parks, create a plan that continues to set forth that structure to make that happen, affirms that the county's regional parks will continue to remain one of the finest park systems in the United States. And then I think very importantly, this is something I don't think we did well enough in 2009, and that's aligning with other county and regional planning efforts. Next slide. So the first major regional plan that we need to align with obviously would be our Maricopa County Comprehensive Plan, which is called Vision 2030. And that focuses a lot on growth and the rapid growth here in the Valley. And so that'll be a big component of our system plan, Parks Vision 2030. Next slide. And there are just some elements of that plan that I wanted to point out that we'll be keying heavily off of. Obviously, there are open space elements in the plan providing regional leadership to environmental quality, parks and trails, protecting and expanding proportionately with population, continuing to build the Maricopa Trail out and additional Maricopa County Regional Trail System plans and planning efforts, and then continuing to work with municipalities to connect trail systems to their parks and preserve systems. Next slide. And then the county plan has environmental elements, so we want to make sure that we're aligning with the goal of providing regional leadership in environmental quality. Next slide. Transportation obviously is a big component of any trail system and regional system. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And so we want to make sure that we're continuing to include the Maricopa Trail and trail connectivity, and then continuing on with trail planning in the future. Next slide, please. Economic growth, and this is something that a lot of times is overlooked in park planning, but we want to make sure that our regional parks and our regional trails contribute to the effective regional economy. We're providing for a diverse and balanced economy. And then the Maricopa County Vision 2030 plan talks a lot about a new economy for this region. And we want to make sure that we're aligning with that, because the new economy talks about how important it is to attract and retain knowledge-based industries. And an important factor of that is quality of place. And our parks and regional trails are obviously a huge component of providing that quality place for residents. Next slide, please. So the foundation of our planning effort, or at least one of the foundational pieces, is understanding what our park visitors want. And so every few years we conduct park visitor surveys. This one was just completed last year. We did over 1,000 interviews and then follow-up mailback questionnaires with folks. And I just wanted to give you a flavor for some of this. It's an extensive data set that we'll use in the planning process, but just to give you an idea. Next slide. So obviously we look at our overall satisfaction, and we're at a 4.8 out of 5 according to our visitors in terms of satisfaction. So we think that that's very good, and we want to continue to provide that level of satisfaction with our park visitors. Next slide. Facilities, what facilities are important to the public as we look at future planning for our park system? Obviously, trails is number one, trail signs. Restrooms, I mentioned renovating restrooms. They're very important to people. Parking availability and directional signs. And then in terms of how we perform, folks like our boat ramps. They think highly of our nature centers, parking availability, trails, and our park campsites. Next slide. And then we ask people, why do they visit our parks? What do they really enjoy or cherish about the parks? And obviously it's observing the scenic beauty, enjoying physical exercise, experience the open space, improve the physical health and relaxation. Next slide, please. So to this point, we've boiled our plan elements down into 4 primary elements: regional impacts to quality of life and the economy, providing exceptional visitor experiences, preserving regional natural heritage, and that's a future-oriented component, and then sustaining and maintaining existing park resources. And if we feel like, if we can hit the mark on all 4 of those major plan elements, we will continue to have a quality regional system of parks, open spaces, and trails in Maricopa County. Next slide. So just to give you a little diagram of our process that we're going through. So we began in August, September last year, as I said, about a year ago, outlining the planning process. From October through February, we initiated input. We formed steering committees, executive committees. We were looking at our data that we had and interviewing key stakeholders and staff. From November to February, we began performing inventory and analysis within our parks. Program analysis, land use analysis, facility inventory, that type of thing. And then we began the process of developing broad goals. And as I mentioned, we have the 4 plan elements. That's kind of what came out of that. And then we were just ready to go into an extensive public input process, and COVID hit. So you can see we took what we're calling the COVID break. And so we are starting this planning process up again now in September. We'll be looking at doing much more virtual public input and having some small group meetings, providing online opportunities for people to comment, and then going into plan concepts and priorities, December through February. Then we go into another public review process in March through May. And our hope is to get this to the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors to approve the plan sometime in June or July of next year. And next slide. So that brings us to any questions, comments. I'd love to get feedback back from this group because we have a group of planning oriented folks. So I think you could give me some great feedback.
RJ, this is Jason. I don't know if Jose stepped away but I was just.
You know what? I'm sorry, I had it on mute. Sorry, I had a whole speech already halfway through. Yeah, sorry, RJ. Yes, yeah, this is for information and only, so there's not an action. But I am a planner, and I was in the county back in 2001 when we did the 2020 plan.
Great.
So I'm excited to hear this. Anyways, I'll go ahead and open it to the committee members to see if they have any questions.
Hi, this is Rick from Chandler. I just have a comment. I just like to say that appreciate all the hard work that went into that, as well as appreciate the fact that you're aligning with all the municipalities and everything with our local parks and trails and paths. And so eventually it will be a county-wide composite of just wonderful parks and everything. So thanks for all the hard work.
Rick, thank you for that comment, and that brings up a point that I didn't really cover, but I'd like to say a few things about aligning more with city plans. One of the things that we've been working with MAG, the GIS folks over the past few months, is trying to do a layer into the county park system, the county park trails, layered in with all of the city park open space master plans, or if your city doesn't have a specific park master plan and the open space element of your general plan, we want to lay all of that together so we can really look at a comprehensive view. Because my feeling is, you know, it's going to be challenging enough for the county and cities to protect a quality system of open space. So we can't do it on our own. We have to do it collaboratively. And so there's no need for us to be looking at putting in a regional park, for example, where the city of Surprise may be looking at putting in a regional park. So thank you for that comment. And that's something we really want to try and focus on this year.
Well, just to piggyback on that, you mentioned the differences, especially out in the open space. And while it makes sense, it was a little bit of a surprise because I had never thought about it like that with regards to what type of equipment you put out in the regional parks versus the cities. And that's really a strong point there, is why are they going to the parks in the first place? They're not going out to the desert to ride a little circular, type thing. So it's a very good point.
I have a question. This is Grant Anderson, Youngtown. As the COVID has changed everything, it appears that some of the parks, like Lake Pleasant, the shutdown has prevented people from enjoying the park systems. I think there is maybe a rethinking that could have been done on how much was shut down and how much is available to the public that really needs to get out and enjoy open space.
Thanks for that, Grant. Actually, we've noticed somewhat of the opposite. Our visitation numbers this past year were up about 9% from the previous year. But you are correct. We did some things to try and keep people socially distanced. A few of I think 3 of our major trailheads, we just couldn't keep people socially distanced. So we did have to close those 3 trailheads down. But that closed down about 10 miles of 500 miles of a trail system. So yes, you're right. COVID is completely making us rethink things. I will tell you, for July and August of this year, I was just looking at our visitation numbers compared to July and August of last year, and we are up 41%.
I'm sure that's the case because people have nowhere else to go to enjoy just getting away. And so I'm thinking there may be a better way to keep as much of all the parks open as possible so people don't end up being just in their house all the time.
I very much agree, Grant. Thank you.
RJ, we do have a comment on our screen. I don't know if you can read it. It's from Garrett. He's saying he wants to thank you for your appreciation for improving the Cave Creek Regional Park and the Trails and Natural Center. And that's from Garrett.
I see that. I definitely appreciate that. Cave Creek is a little gem of a park for us. I mean, some folks would say a little park being about 3,000 acres isn't a little park, but for us, that's a relatively small park. But it is certainly a gem with the campground and the beautiful scenery and the trails that we have out there. And because of the Maricopa Trail, then it connects over into Spur Cross Ranch Conservation Area. And from there, you can go on into the Tonto National Forest. So Cave Creek is a beautiful little park. So thank you.
Thank you. And RJ, I do have a question, and I might have missed it, but did you mention that you're going to send this plan out for comment from the municipalities? Is that correct?
Yes, we will. We'll be doing a couple things to generate some input from the municipalities. We're developing a steering committee that we hopefully will have online in the next 3 to 4 weeks. We're working with Jay Hicks at Dig Studio. And so that steering committee will be made up of community representatives, planners, et cetera. So that'll be one opportunity. And then we'll put it out numerous times for public comment as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there any more questions for RJ from the committee members?
I have a question, Jose. It's Jason. Sure. Hey, RJ, I just wondering about, do you have numbers by any chance on how many people visit the park from out of state, the parks from out of state every year? And what are you all thinking about maybe doing a, some kind of comprehensive or extra intense marketing effort to get tourists or recreational tourism people coming here a lot more often? Or what is your thoughts on that?
So great question, Jason. Yeah, because we charge an entry fee at our parks, we keep pretty accurate numbers of folks who visit our parks. And then conducting the visitor surveys every few years, we also are able to dive a little bit deeper into our demographics of who's coming. We know that we get roughly, just round numbers, 2 million visitors per year to our parks. About 700,000 of those are coming to Lake Pleasant, and then the rest are spread out. White Tank is our second most visited park, and then Usery Mountain over in the East Valley is our third most visited park. We also know that we get about 30% of our visitation is from out of county, and most of that being out of state. Interestingly enough, we just completed with Arizona State University an economic impact study of all of our county parks, and we'll be publishing that here in the next few weeks, I'm thinking. And it was pretty enlightening. It shows that for every dollar that's invested in a county park, the regional economy we generate about $4.50 in the regional economy. And I honestly, I don't think we captured all of the economic impact because the data set that we used was a park visitor data set, and it wasn't specifically geared towards economic impact, but it gave us a pretty good understanding of the value that our county parks have within the regional structure and to individual communities that have those gateway parks. So yeah, we do a fair amount of social media marketing within the county park system. We've reached out recently to the Arizona Office of Tourism, and so we will have them on the steering committee for this planning process. But if anybody knows of additional folks that we should be involved with, please let me know. One of the difficult things for us is spending dollars on marketing. One, because of limited budget, but two, the public doesn't, or some segments of the public don't always agree with spending public funds on advertising. So we try to be low key, but really hit the social media marketing.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's such an opportunity, to get more people from out of state to utilize the park system. And like you said, infuse money into the economy, into the regional economy. So I know a lot of people love the desert, and we have incredible trail systems here, and it'd be interesting to see if we could get some kind of marketing program going. Anyway, that's a conversation for the steering committee, maybe.
Yes, thank you. I just took a note.
Hey, I kind of a follow-up question to Jason's comment. Are you guys planning to produce like a map or a brochure or some kind of pamphlet that perhaps can be, available at city halls at different municipalities?
So we do have our park system map and brochure that is available at any of our parks. And if anybody would like copies of those to put out at your city hall or visitor centers, nature centers, whatever the case may be, please let me know and I'd be happy to get you some of those.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's great. Okay, so do we have any other questions from our committee members? Yeah.
This is Bob Bean with the Coalition of Arizona Bicyclists.
Go ahead, Bob.
I just have a comment related to the marketing, and maybe one other quick comment on connectivity, and I'll start with connectivity first. You mentioned briefly about working with the municipalities and touched on connectivity. That's a really important issue for those in the bicycling community, and to the extent that your trail network participates in the overall connectivity. That's something that we think is really important. Then secondly, on the marketing side, we have a lot of links to local bicycling clubs, and we are constantly getting communications from people out of state who want to come here and they want to know where to ride both on the road and on trails while they're here. So I would be more than happy to discuss marketing and connecting to the bicycling community with you at your convenience.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. I'll take you up on that.
Okay. All right. So if we don't have any other questions from the committee, I just want to thank RJ for the presentation. Really informative, and we're looking forward to seeing a final product in the next couple of months. So best of luck and thanks again.
All right. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to item, I guess, number 5 on my list here. Our members, agencies updates and requests for future agenda items. Do we have any updates or requests for agenda items, guys? Anybody? Okay.
Sorry, I had one and I forgot it. I'll just have to email Jason.
I was waiting for you.
And when I thought of it, I was like, this is going to be great. And I didn't write it down. So sorry.
I will have to wait till the October meeting, I guess.
Wait,
Yeah.
I have one.
Thanks.
And it kind of involves Susan.
Okay, go ahead.
So the city of Phoenix just received its bronze level designation from the League of American Bicyclists. And there are several communities in the area that are bronze, silver, or gold, like Tempe and Scottsdale, I believe, are gold. And I thought it would be helpful if we had an agenda item where communities could just share what their journeys looked like from bronze to silver or silver to gold. Kind of share what they did and what they got, or how they found it valuable to pursue designation. If anyone's interested.
I'm interested, and congratulations.
Thanks. We've been bronze since 2013.
Oh, you did your renew. Well, congratulations anyway.
Thanks. Yeah, because they can always take it away.
Yeah, true.
So.
I think that'd be a good one.
Peoria would also be interested in to get off the honorable mention list and get up to a bronze, please.
Honorable mention is honorable.
I didn't even get a certificate.
Oh, we'll make you one.
Hi, this is Tiffany Halpern, and I think it's a great idea. This committee has done a really good job in promoting its cause, right? Active transportation and all the linkages, and this is just another way to do it. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, Tiffany. Any other future agenda items or staff updates? All right. In that case, let's move to the last item on the agenda, which is the adjournment of this meeting. All those in favor, well, hold on, let's see. Our next meeting is tentatively scheduled for October 20th, 2021 at 1 p.m. Anyways, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Grant. All right, so we have motion from, oh, God, I forgot your name again. Scottsdale, I mean, Tempe. And,
Okay.
you know, and then we have Grant Anderson from Youngtown. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, thank you guys. We'll see you in October.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.